Ladies and gentlemen, while Trudeau is running for the hills, Trump's setting his sights on our northern neighbor. The mainstream media is calling it impossible, but remember, they said the same thing about Trump becoming president. Tonight, we're exposing the plan to make Canada the 51st state through economic force. No military needed, folks, just pure American economic might. Trudeau says there's not a snowball's chance in hell, but with his resignation, Canada's leadership vacuum is creating the perfect storm. Some Canadians are already cheering for it, and Trump's message is clear. Time to make North America great again. And speaking of pressure, patriots, let's talk about something affecting half of all American adults: high blood pressure. Just as Trump's applying pressure on Canada, your blood pressure might be putting pressure on your heart, but there's hope. Our friends at GlycoBoost have developed a revolutionary formula that helps manage blood pressure naturally. Visit boostwithgary.com and get up to 40% off their triple action formula. Don't let high blood pressure stop you from witnessing America's historic expansion. Get protected naturally at boostwithgary.com. That's boostwithgary.com for up to 40% off. It is linked below. So what would it look like? What would it look like? Donald Trump today, he gave a press conference and set the entire world ablaze with his remarks. And this is the ongoing. First it was like trolling. First we're like, no, this is all trolling. He's not serious. But no, he's definitely serious. Listen in. This is some remarks from his press conference earlier today.
It's all right. Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada the 51st state of the United States, the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstance will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't
point, you had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
But Sir Lopez, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We get a lot of milk. We get a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. but we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either.
Oh, man. It is all breaking loose. Now, as you know, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank, he was at Mar-a-Lago just a couple days ago. Here's a photograph of him discussing Canada with Donald Trump. And now he did give some kind of freakish keyword triggers when he went on Fox News talking about what went down at Mar-a-Lago, and he brings up the North American Union. Now, the North American Union, if you don't know, it was at one time it was considered a conspiracy. It was the merger of Canada, the United States, and Mexico with a NAFTA superhighway running straight through it, and with a unified currency called the Amero. These were all real things that were whispered about, and now we're seeing these are no longer whispers. These are actual terms being thrown about on Fox News by Kevin O'Leary, who has the ear of President Donald Trump. Is this one big grand plan to bring about a North American Union that we warned about? But was that North American Union under the control of the globalists or under the control of the United States? Is this the Trump world order or the globalist world order? And that's where we have to differentiate between the two. And I think people, there's a big debate online about it. People think that that Donald Trump was brought in by the globalists to execute this grand plan to consolidate the United States and Canada and Mexico in together with Greenland to create this North American Union, the grand plan. But the question is America in control of it? Is this just an expanded America First agenda? Or is this bending the knee to the globalists? Now, we know Donald Trump, he is anti-globalist all the way. So the way I see this is that this is an expansion of America First policy, putting American interests ahead of the globalists by taking what they want away from them and putting it into American control. Now, I'm sure people are going to have difference of opinion on this, but let's listen to Kevin O'Leary on Fox.
President-elect Trump on this issue?
I had two topics that I wanted to talk to him about. Number one was integrating Canada towards a North American Union for greater strength, just period. The world's a difficult place these days, and most Canadians would like to look at that opportunity without giving up their sovereignty. So low-hanging fruit would be combined currency, for example, combining the Bank of Canada with the Fed, things like that. We are the largest trading partners. And just to ask him,
I like how he just glosses over the biggest points of the entire discussion. Unified currency, unify the banks.
would like to look at that opportunity without giving up their sovereignty. So low-hanging fruit would be combined currency, for example, combining the Bank of Canada with the Fed, things like that. We are the largest trading partners. And just to ask him, because this was on Saturday, to say these meetings you're having with Trudeau and finance ministers from Canada, with all due respect, sir, are a complete waste of time. This guy's going to get eradicated out of the Canadian political landscape. Give the Canadians a chance to re-elect a leader, just like you got re-elected, that has a 4-year mandate, just like you have, and let's get down to business. And I hope they didn't land on deaf ears. I think he saw the rationale in that. That was one topic. But I had another agenda item.
Wow. So Donald Trump clearly talking about this. Now, okay, there's a lot to get to here. Pierre Poilievre has come out and he stated that Canada will never be the 51st state. We will put Canada first. Now, he's the front runner to become the next prime minister. And we also have, obviously, we have Trudeau resigning because he can't handle the heat. Donald Trump's not even in the White House, and he's already throwing in the towel. President Trump has liberated Canada after trolling Trudeau by calling him the governor. Let's just flash back to this real quick.
For dinner. I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
Bye-bye.
After the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Okay. Yeah, go dry your eyes, buddy. I understand it's difficult for you. But he actually did weigh in on this today. And Justin Trudeau, here's his tweet. He says, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner. Okay, but what if you're actually part of the states? Let's see. I don't need to go into all those notes here. But if you want to get a taste of Trudeau, here's a little taste for him.
Because maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to...
we like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
We can all learn from each other.
Yeah, we could all learn by ignoring you. If Canada became the 51st state of the United States, what should we name it? Dr. Clown, PhD. What would you call it? I guess we'd call it Canada, right? Now, let's get back. We got some man on the street here. Let's see what the Canadians are saying on the street.
Love it to do it.
How do you feel about becoming the 51st state?
I love it. I love it to do it. I'm all in.
Donald Trump said this about Canada. He said taxes are far too high, but if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Their businesses would immediately double in size, and they'd be military protected like no other country anywhere in the world.
True.
How do you feel about becoming the 51st state?
Shirley, he's got a longer video on his X profile if you want to take a look at that. Trying to find the remarks that, okay, so here, let's go here. Okay, so Pierre Poilievre said Canada will never be the 51st state. Now, he's the front runner. We are a great and independent country. We're the best friend of the U.S. We spend billions of dollars, hundreds of lives helping Americans. Helping Americans retaliate against certain attacks. We supply the U.S. with billions of dollars of high quality and totally reliable energy, well below market prices. We buy hundreds of billions of dollars in American goods. Our weak and pathetic NDP liberal government has failed to make these obvious points. I will fight for Canada. When I'm Prime Minister, we will rebuild our military, take back control of the border, and secure both Canada and the U.S. We will take back control of our Arctic to keep Russia and China out. Oh, is there any hint there about Greenland? I don't know. We will axe taxes, slash red tape, and rapidly greenlight massive resource projects to bring home paychecks and production to our country. In other words, we will put Canada first. All right, so that's what the front runner is saying in Canada. Now let's take a look at this. Some TikToker made this video.
And the U.S. would become. What if Canada became the 51st state of the United States? If Canada joined the U.S., the flag would gain a 51st star, and the U.S. would become the largest country in the world, covering 19 million square kilometers, overtaking Russia. Canada's 40 million people would increase the U.S. population to 373 million, keeping it third in global rankings behind India and China. Economically, Canada's 2.9 trillion GDP would make it the third wealthiest state, just after California and Texas. The U.S. defense budget would grow by $26 billion, and American dominance in the Arctic would expand, reinforcing its global influence. However, this merger would spark international concerns. Russia could bolster its Arctic military presence, while China might have to rethink its strategies in the Pacific. Mexico, heavily dependent on the U.S., would face pressure to diversify its partnerships to maintain economic stability.
Wow, I never thought we'd be having this discussion.
Leader of the Conservative.
Never thought we would be having this discussion. Now, this is more from Kevin O'Leary. He says that Canada's Justin Trudeau will go down in history as the idiot king.
Excuse my French. Canadians are in the British parliamentary system, so we have a very short fuse here. The Liberals, of which Trudeau was the leader, had a majority mandate a decade ago. They're about to get wiped out, and they're going to have 60 days to find a new leader. And Pierre, who you just detailed there, is going to become the majority leader, most likely, and he'll be dealing with Trump. So his job, number one, is to get elected. Unfortunately for Trudeau, you have to respect the longevity. He's probably, after Mackenzie King, the longest prime minister in history. But he did it without any executional skills. That's very hard to do, but somehow he did it. But everything he touched over that 10-year period turned to, excuse my French, poo-poo. And the Canadian people finally realized this guy has no idea what he's doing. And unfortunately, his legacy, and these are harsh words, but by the metric of measuring GDP per capita, capital outflow, debt per capita, status of competition in the G20, they have all collapsed. And the one that really wrote him off was the Canadian dollar. Canadians have lost 41% of their net worth during his tenure. And he will go down in history as the idiot king.
The idiot king. That's what they're calling Justin Trudeau. Now, the Ontario Premier Doug Ford says, this is 22 hours ago, says Trump talking about taking over Canada is not a joke. And then he says Canada will buy Alaska and Minnesota in response. Really?
You know something? Well, I know under my watch for Ontario, it'd never be for that at all. We have the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest province anywhere. Any sub-sovereign nation is Ontario and the rest of the provinces as well.
You think he's joking?
You know something? To the president, I'll make him a counteroffer. How about if we buy Alaska and we'll throw in Minnesota and Minneapolis at the same time? So, it's not realistic. I know he likes making these comments and he likes joking around. I take that seriously. He may be joking, but under my watch, that will never, ever happen.
Well, I don't think it's really going to happen, but Sean Hannity's behind it. Let's hear what Sean's saying.
Them in. And by the way, I kind of like the idea, maybe you'll join me, of Greenland, Canada, joining the U.S. I think we should invite them in. And by the way, without the U.S., the Panama Canal would not exist. Yeah, I think we, not China, should be controlling it. And by the way,
So Sean Hannity's on board, of course, but he cheerleads everything. Let's get further down the list here. This is, here's the one Canadian politician threatening to take California, Washington, and Oregon. Well, I think they could have them, right?
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington, you've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our west coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No more one-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you?
Yeah, I think those are all reasons why Canada needs to be the 51st state. Thanks for selling us on it there. Now, here is Donald Trump reacting to Pierre Poilievre saying Canada will never be the 51st state.
To acquire. Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada 51st state of the United States, the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstance will ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't care.
You had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
But Sir Lopez, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
Oh, wow. The world that we are in right now, the Trump world order, is taking shape. Once I thought this was just some trolling, you know what? It's not. Elon Musk posted this 20 hours ago saying it's perfectly articulated, and this is Pierre Poilievre, who is likely to be the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Yes.
What are the steps that need to be taken to fix the damages done to inflation?
First and foremost, stop the overspending. Inflation, high taxes, deficits, high interest rates are all symptoms. The disease is overspending. When governments spend too much money, there's only three ways to get it. One is to raise your taxes. The other is to borrow, which means that they'll tax you more later on. And the third way is to print money. Now, printing money seems like a painless way to pay for things, but it's very simple. If you have 10 apples and $10 in the economy, it's a bucket apple. If you double the number of dollars in the economy to 20, you still only have 10 apples. You're not twice as rich, it's just that each apple costs twice as much. And that is a tax on the working people because it chews up the purchasing power of your paycheck, only to pay for excessive government spending, and it balloons the asset values of the billionaires. So it's a real transfer from the have-nots to the have-yots. Inflation is the worst and most immoral tax. It always results from government creating cash. Our government has created about $700 billion of cash in the last 3 years. So we used to have $1.8 trillion of bills, coins, and bank deposits. That was about 3-4 years ago. Now it's up to 2.5 trillion. So that's extra cash, but the economy has only grown by 4%. So the real things in the economy have only grown by 4%. The cash has grown by 40%. So the money supply is growing 10 times faster than the stuff money buys, which creates a bidding war, and that's what's driving up inflation. We have to cap government spending with a dollar-for-dollar law that requires my ministers find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending, so that they go into their departments, find the waste and mismanagement. They want to spend more here, they have to spend less there, or get a bargain here and there to bring both under budget. Then and only then will we stop the money printing, borrowing, and overtaxation and wrestle inflation to the ground. Thank you.
Wow. And I guess it's pronounced Pierre Poilievre? Poilievre? Yeah. Okay. I'll do my best here. All right. I do my best. I try. But whoever thought we'd be seeing this, man? We are not even in the new Trump administration yet. So think about it. Canada's resources, America's military might, and no more worrying about our northern border? Well, the globalists are panicking because they know what this means. Total North American dominance. While Pierre Poilievre claims Canada will never be the 51st state, the Canadian people are starting to see the light. Economic force isn't just a strategy. It is the key to peaceful unification. So here is tonight's controversial question for the comments. If Canada's leadership vacuum continues, don't the Canadian people deserve the protection and prosperity that comes with being part of the United States? And while you're pondering that, grab your limited edition MAGAvengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Show everyone you support one nation under Trump.